Thank you so much. First of all, thank everyone for participating, giving me an opportunity to share something that is a passion of mine and that I've been doing for about 50 years. What we'll be offering is Les Cramer's Christian Warriors Training Center, and we have a building located out on Savannes, and it's about 3,500 square foot. I will be catering to wounded warriors, Special Olympians, retired veterans, the whole veteran community, which, by the way, there are 67,000 veterans in Escambia County where I'll be putting this gym. I'll be out in Brownsville, and there are no gyms within 5 miles. So I have a location that you can park about 50 cars. 95,000 cars a day go up and down that street. So we'll get a lot of walk-in from our frontal signs. And that's what we'll be doing. Myself, I'm the world's winningest weightlifter. I've been in 385 competitions since 1962. Now that includes 80 world records in powerlifting, 15 national championships, and 9 worlds. I hope to add to that 9 worlds as I'll be lifting in, I made the American team by winning the nationals, and I'll be participating in the Olympic lifting Masters World Championships. I'm ranked #1 USA, #3 world. So depending on if the Japanese guy and the Russian guy shows where I might finish. And like I said, I've won the national title. I've lifted in every major city, and I've been to Durban, South Africa, been to Australia, been to England, and with my weightlifting over the last 50 years. My Marine Corps background, I went in 62, got out in 68, and I'll tell you how long ago that was, folks. I was the last platoon to qualify with the M1 rifle, okay? And then the M14, I was in platoon 365 in South Carolina, and then behind me, platoon 366, if any of you music buffs go back very far, it would be the Everly Brothers, came through in the reserve outfit and was in the platoon after I went through. How would we know that we could get people in that would pay for this? I've owned 32 gyms over the last 50 years. I had a big gym out in Las Vegas. I'll tell you about that in a few minutes. But the biggest word in physical fitness today is CrossFit. You're probably aware of that just from the advertising and the number of gyms that are doing that. That's been around about 15 years. Well, prior to CrossFit, I had a program that I called Cramer Fit. And I used the 5 basic exercises that they use for CrossFit, and we would do them in sequence over a 20-minute time limit, count our reps, and that would determine the winner. So I've been doing that for years and years, and that was before CrossFit. Now, the clientele that I'll be looking for will be from the 6-year-old who wants to play T-ball to Don Reinhardt, world's strongest man, who wanted to gain body weight. When I met Don, he trained in my basement one day. I saw the potential, and this was in Erie, Pennsylvania. Don weighed 286 at the time, was a shot putter. And I said, you got a good shot here. He said, what do I have to do to be a world champion? I said, gain 100 pounds. And his wife was sitting there thinking, boy, I got to cook a lot of lasagna and spaghetti here. But he did accomplish that. He weighed in his last meet and won 5 world titles, first man to squat 1,000 pounds. And what you see on TV, the world's strongest man, the pulling the buses and all that, Don won that twice. And that came out of my basement. Now, I have a nice website up. It's called Les Cramer's Training Facility or Training Center. And you can hit your www and get that. I've written a lot of articles. I've written 250 articles that have been accepted all the way up to Sports Illustrated. If you go in, and I'm sure you all do this, you go through the drugstore and you look at the magazine racks. Well, almost all the muscle magazines, the Mr. America type magazines, are put out by Weider out in California. Now, Ben and Joe Weider have passed, but I used to be the editor of several of those magazines. And also, I had my own magazine, Powerlifting Journal, and had that that was nationwide for about 3 years. My plan for sales and marketing, my main thrust is this little disc right here, which is a pilot for a TV show, either to be done on Cox Cable or Blab locally. I'm aiming for 8 o'clock in the morning. Obviously, I've talked with them, and I have the pilot show on here. And the host on that is Michelle West, that used to be a newscaster here in town. And I do a world record on the show and talk about physical fitness and, you know, don't smoke, don't drink, take care of your health, and take your vitamins and drink your protein. I do a lot of speaking engagements. I've done hundreds of them for Fellowship of Christian Athletes, churches. I recently did one at the Church of Nazarene out in Inslee, and I usually takes about an hour, but I talk about, I have a slideshow that I do, and I take some weights in and answer questions. And I can gear this to somebody over 70, believe it or not, because I'm over 70. So somebody says to me, well, you know, geez, I'm 35 now, you know, I can't bench as much as I used to. I said, well, you know, I'm 70 and I can bench as much as I used to. So I do the speaking engagements. That will bring people into the gym, and the year membership that I'm going to give every football coach that I can have a face-to-face with and a meeting with, because that'll bring in football teams and athletes and their families. The location is out near the big Brownsville church out here, and the thousands and thousands of members. I've had contact with their youth ministry, and I'll line up once we get the funds in and we're ready to start on the business, which, by the way, my target date is January 1st. Hopefully all this 19 stuff will be behind us. Gyms will be fully open. Certainly don't want to open one now. In January, my 50 years in the business tells me that's the #1 month. That's the New Year's reservation everybody makes about losing weight, feeling better, and getting stronger, and getting rid of the gut, and so on and so forth. So that is the best month to do a grand opening and open. As far as investors, and I know you asked the question, is what am I looking for? I can't do any of this without money. And right now I have Social Security, and I have a pressure washing business and some other things that I'm doing. But I have to raise about $80,000-$85,000, and I'm willing to give up 40%, and this will become an LLC, and you'll be protected by the laws of the limited liability company, and get a 40% return. In my business perspective, which I'll be glad to email or send by mail, I've got a 15-page business plan that has a 3-year projection in it, our membership rates, our goals and desires that we want to do. I think everything's answered in the business plan, and be able to send that out. Now, if we got a retired general that's listening from the Marine Corps, maybe he'll write me a check for $80,000, or someone, the child was killed in Vietnam or Desert Storm. It might be a good project for them to put out in their loved one's name. Or I can get me 10 Marines that's put in $8,000 each, and that would also take care of that as far as the investors. As far as other employees, we'll have 8 to 10 employees, personal trainer, assistant manager, phone person, and I will train all of those people personally. And we call an exercise by the same name, tell them it works the right muscle, and everybody will be trained well, so that we're all on the same page when I'm not there and they pick up a client that I have been training. There was a question about whether I could start this on a small basis within another facility. I did that once. I did it up in Erie, Pennsylvania, at the City Rec Center, and that's where I got Don Reinhardt, became the world's strongest man out of, and I had that for 3 days. The karate guy had it for the other 3 days. The only problem that I have, because I have a lot of specialized training, I can train a wounded warrior that's missing a leg, how to become in the Olympics or become a world bench press record holder. And I benched, my best bench press at 148 pounds was a 325. And out in Gulf Breeze at Chip's Gym here a few years back, I was in my 50s. I broke it. I did a 326, but I was in my 50s and I weighed 165 at that point. I'd like to show you one of my world records. This was done 10 years ago, and this is the squat. This is an official national competition, and coming up here, a little slow loading, but this is 465 pounds. Is it kind of going to come up for us? Oh, there's a big black blob. I've got it here, and pardon me for this not working. I'll go ahead and take that off. I'll go ahead and show it to you. You won't be able to see it quite as well. Oh, there it is. Okay. That is in Nashville, Tennessee. I was 68 years old at the time. That record still stands. It probably will never be broken because of my age and the amount of weight, but that is a world record of 465 pounds. So I can teach anything to do with physical fitness, like I said, from the weightlifting, football, and that's why I'm going to go to the football coaches, because in word of mouth, of course, will spread that, hey, I'm training under a world champion. Give you one small example, and then I'm going to shut up. But if you were wanting to be a bodybuilder, and Arnold Schwarzenegger owned a gym in Pensacola, which gym would you go to? He's 8-time Mr. Universe. So if you want to be a football player, I was the leading scorer in high school. I was voted the outstanding athlete. I held track records. I was captain of the basketball team, and I've won these world titles and set all these world records. I think if I'm going through the phone book, I don't know where else that I would go if I wanted to get that for my son, who's a sophomore in high school or something like that, or for myself. And maybe I'm 60 years old and I think I can't lift. I married a gal from Milton who had never lifted a weight in her life. She started lifting with me at age 45, and within a year had set a world record and won a national title and went undefeated in 8 straight meets. And she came in and says, you know, I don't think my back will be able to do this. So she sets a world deadlift record. So I feel that I can coach anybody for any reason, and I'll be glad to turn it back to the host, and I'll try to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. Does anyone have any questions? You can raise your hand. We've got Jim. Jim has a question. If you want to unmute yourself, sir.
I was actually applauding the world record, but I'm curious, is this going to be a membership? Like I remember.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yes.
Yeah. I've got some unusual ways of doing this. One, the first one that I offer someone is to make a $1,500 donation, and that will sponsor 2 wounded warriors for a year in the gym without them having to pay anything. Then they can write that off as a donation. We can accept it as a donation. And then I give that person a lifetime membership with me as their coach, no matter if they just want to come in and train for fitness. And that's the first membership. Then we sell a 2-year, where your 3rd year is renewed at half price. And then we sell a 1-year, and then we sell a 90-day, because I do expect a lot of military coming in. Mm-hmm. I'm only 3 miles from the first of 5 bases in the area. And of course, those of you from here know out at Eglin, we have the Blue Angels. And I do have that military slant. Mm-hmm. Going to the bases and talking to company commanders in any way that I can get the word out there. And most of these people I've talked to company commanders, I've talked to football coaches, I've talked to gym owners. Like I said, I made my pilot over at Blab, and hopefully that I need to raise that, like I said, $85,000 to accomplish this. I'm real happy with the building. I have a picture of that on my website, and I have a colored brochure I'd be glad to give you. It's a fold out. Got a picture of Arnold that I took in 1972, and then on Reinhardt there's doing a squat down in my basement when he first started. And I have that. I have my business perspective, and pretty much got it together. Just don't have the funds.
I think it looks great. Wow. Any other questions from anyone?
Now, aren't you going to ask me if you want to be a world champion?
I'm going to ask some questions because I've been thinking about getting back in the gym myself. I'm like, January. All right.
You know, back in the day when I had my TV show, it's called Celebrity Exercise, and I'm just redoing it here. And Emmett Smith, Roy Jones Jr. are two people that I want to get right off. And then Sandy Sansing, he's probably more popular than they are. And what I did with my show, and I will be doing here, is I have them do exercises. So, you know, they do sit-ups, and I don't embarrass them, but they may ask me a question about, well, how do I build my shoulders? And you know, if it was Roy, of course, I wouldn't need to tell him a whole lot, but weightlifting is different than boxing, and I know he lifted. I've been in his gym, and he used to jog by the house here all the time. Sat out the dog track with him, and I'm doing 2 dog tracks, and he's doing 200. So we're hoping to get some of those folks involved. And then also the minority, being in Brownsville, minority community. If a kid walks in there and he's 16 years old and he doesn't have any money, I'm going to give him a membership.
Absolutely.
And I'll just do it off of one of the people who have sponsored and maybe done a donation. In my projections, I expect to get 3 people to do $1,500 every month. That's $4,500 just off of the donations. My overhead for the month, with everything, advertising included, and lawyers' fees and licensing, et cetera, is $5,000 a month. So now, one thing I do want to mention, because one of the questions that you and I discussed on the phone is the difference between a regular brick and mortar, and I don't know why, but I use a donut shop because that's opposite of what I teach. But you get a donut shop, you open up, and the first day you're open, you get 10 customers. At the end of the month, you're getting 20 a day. At the end of 2 years, you're getting 50 a day. Well, the gym business goes the opposite direction. Your money's on the front end. So when I do a half-off grand opening and I advertise this on my television show, or we put a TV ad on, or I sit down with a sportscaster and talk on the radio, I do like half off for the first 50 to call or come by. So that's 50 memberships. I'll get 50 memberships in the first 30 days. It takes 94 to pay that $5,000 overhead. So I'll have in the bank 6 months overhead, probably before I put a key in the door. And I've done that several times. I've actually raised funds in pre-sales of memberships that totally paid off a gym. I did that in Bowling Green, Kentucky. And it took me 30 days. And when I put the key in the door, I had no bills. Equipment was paid, everything was paid for before anybody came in and did a sit-up. So from a business plan and a profitable plan, watching your money, I absolutely know how to do this. But I tell you where my heart's at. My heart's with that wounded warrior. And what they've done for us. I never had to give a leg. I gave 6 years, but those people need someone in their life that can help them. And I feel I'm that person. Thank you.
I do too.
So our next step is somebody write me a check. That would take care of all the problems. All right, thank you.
Good. I love it. Anyone else have a question?
Yes.
Mr. Brian, all right.
Yeah, I'm just completely amazed. I mean, I think one of the things you really want to do is get out to the media, get to the news, TV station, tell your story. I mean, when you're going through all the different awards and the things that you did, I felt very, very lazy, very much like I need to do something else. Not to mention,
I'm trying to do that to everybody. I do that to my son, who's 37 years old. He's going, where does this come from? Here's another
I
world.
think I need some therapy afterwards to kind of help build myself back up, because I'm just like, wow, all these great things that you're doing. So I think getting that message out to the newspaper, to the TV station, let them know what you've done.
Well, I should, in my business plan, I have that in there. Every sports show, the Christian radio station, and having Sandy Sansing, and I've talked to them over there, and mostly everything that I'm telling you, I've already done the groundwork and talked to a lot of these folks. when I hit the ground running in January, is I'll be on every sports show in this town, and I'll be interviewed. I might even take weights in and do, like when I do Fellowship of Christian Athletes that I'll do over at Brownsville to their youth group. I take in 500 pounds, and I have what's called a power rack that holds the weight to where you put it on your back for a squat. Now, I have squatted 500, but that was back in the day. Right now, I hold the world record in my over 70 age group. It's 325, and I'm still doing around 350. But I do a partial movement squat, which is called a third squat, where you only go down about so far, not all the way to the bottom. I can still do 500 in that lift. And I'll be in there, and there'll be 70 and 80-year-old people just going, "What is he doing?" And I get a question, "Does that hurt your back?" And the answer is yes, but I'm still going to do it. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. Well, I'm inspired. I don't know about you all, but wow.
Well, I'm going to give you a free membership, so don't worry.
Oh, you're sweet, Les. I love it. Anyone else questions? Do we have anything from Facebook, Jim? Anyone else out there?
I wouldn't know about Facebook.
I've tried to do a GoFundMe, but I'm just learning how to use a flushing toilet. So I'm way, way far behind on this commuter stuff, but I do have a Facebook page up, and I thought that, and I did do a video. I went downtown where they have the Marine Corps statue down there in the center of town, and I did about a 5-minute video and put that together and had this up on my Facebook page. But I don't know how to get hits. I've got information there, and I have my website. The reason I don't have the money is nobody knows I'm doing it. So that was the big opportunity. I'm very thankful for talk to you all, because some lead here is going to work out somewhere down the line, and I think I'll find this money, and I'll be able to bring this to our vets here in Escambia County.
Yeah, I think you're right on. I just had an idea for your funding, potentially reaching out to independent personal trainers and allowing them to take part of that 85,000 and chunk it up. Maybe you have 4 of them that bring 20,000 each, because it, as you know, it's very expensive to start your own gym, but oftentimes someone aspires to do that. So you could almost have like an employee owned, or not an employee owned, but like a co-op.
Well, they would obviously get a membership in the facilities if they, anybody that puts in any money as an owner gets a lifetime membership, and me as a personal trainer. And I had mentioned CrossFit. There's Sidewinders CrossFit out here on this side of town, and I taught him how to lift in a meet. I went over there just to check out the facilities, got talking to him, and he started telling me his lifts, and I said, "My God, you're close to a national champion." He said, "Yeah, but I've never been in a meet." So I trained the owner of Sidewinders. He's been in business for about 4 years and got several $100,000 tied up, and he said he gets 80 to 90% of his memberships come from the base, and he does it with Facebook ads. I don't know how to do Facebook ads, so I'm going to have to get somebody involved. And like you said, anybody that helps out, I've got an electrician that's going to donate his time to do my electrical work, about $8,000, because he believes in the project. I think I'll be able to get vets. I know there's a vet plumber. I know there's a vet framer.
Absolutely.
I know, get those people involved, and have more. If I got 15 or 20 people involved, then that's going to go out into the community. I've talked to the Naval Air Station. I've talked to the people that run their gym over there. And also I consider this: if you're out there and you got that beautiful gym facility that they have, but there's no one there to teach them.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like having a nice new Porsche and you don't know how to drive. So they're over there on the base, and there's some really nice chrome weights in the mirror. What do I do now? So you've got to have coaching. You've got to have instruction. And I even trained a professional baseball player that was throwing a 90-mile-an-hour fastball at my gym out in Vegas. And everybody needs a coach. I had a Russian coach, and he was a world champion and had a gym in Austin. And I was, well, let's see, 20 years ago, I was in my early 60s, And I was training at 11 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon every day, heavy, because age had nothing to do with it. See, so Nick went on to win the Pan Am Games that year, international competition in Olympic lifting. So I don't think there's any doubt that I can handle it all. Again, it gets down to, now back in the day, I had my own money. That chain of 12 health clubs that I had in Nashville, Bowling Green, Kentucky, Franklin, Tennessee. Dolly Parton was a member, Johnny and June Cash were a member, and I had them on my television show. I don't have that kind, but we got Emmett Smith and Roy Jones Jr., and I know them both personally. So I can just see that the TV show, and you can imagine when that, however many they get to at 8:30 in the morning, but when that gets out, or they tell people to come on there and say, this guy has a gym in town. Oh, where is it? It's up there in 3,400 blocks of Andy, 3,500 square feet. Run up there and see them. And
Jim?
So that's what we're going for. Yes, sir.
Hey, Jim, one of the things you may want to see about is like one of your social media type interns, the ones that do intern work through the university who does social media. I know they worked with me some, did a great job. You know, they did it for class credit and they were really knowledgeable, maybe talking and helping Les out with that.
Yeah, Les, I'll send an email to Laura Kirby and I'll copy you on it to ask if they have a social media intern that could help you out. And Ryan?
Yeah, I know we're getting close to our time to end today. So I think we covered the last question, kind of what can we do for Les? If you think of anything else, please get a hold of Les. There's such great potential there. It's an amazing story. I mean, the story just hit my heart. And I think it should hit everyone's body too, make us some really better athletes and better able to do that. So in closing today, I know we'll send you out the 1 million cups, and I know I'll give Jim the dubious task of deciding who should get the cup that we have from 1 million cups here today, since he was hosting the call.
Uh-oh. I think Miss Butler needs to get the cup today.
Okay.
Rosetta Butler, because this is her first time, I'm pretty sure. And why not? Let's do it.
Great. So we'll get a 1 million cups coffee mug out to Les, Yolanda, and we'll also get one out to Miss Butler. I know we're right against the time today. I don't want to cut anything short. Anything else we need to cover, Jim?
I think you got it. We'll be back next month with a couple of interesting speakers as well, and really appreciate you all being here and keeping this a vibrant, exciting place. I really love the content today.
And we really want to hope to one day be back in person. I mean, this really does work better in a personal type way when you can see face to face, make connections, do business cards. But in the meantime, with everything going on in the world, we're doing our best just to keep things continuing. And I appreciate everyone taking time out of your busy day to be here today for the 1 million cups. Please pass the word on. The more people we get on the call, the better. Thank you again for it. Have a wonderful month, and we'll see everyone back in July.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care, everyone. Great job, Yolanda and Les.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.